So I picked up this Cardinal 4B Speed-Vise at the local antique store. It's the same place where I found my Dake arbor press that was being used as a doorstop. I've got another video on that project. So this looks really rough, and it is missing the screw in the handle, which I haven't figured out how I'm going to solve that yet. But I can tell that this has good bones. It's actually in really good shape, so I can't wait to get started. Yeah, this is how cheap I am. I'm going to wipe it down before I even evapor-rust it. Also hit it with the wire wheel. I bet this is going to clean up pretty well. If I'm going to wire wheel it, I might as well just completely disassemble it. Deja vu, this seems familiar. Not too bad. Cool. This is a 5/8, I think. Yep. Ooh, yeah. Oh man, that is a nice surface. This one only has one blemish, but I can't live with that. I have to hide that. That's gonna be nice. There was a comment on my last one about getting different shoes. Well, I mean, I fixed this one, so they're still good, right? So that looks like paint, and that's the color I painted my last one. I'd say it's a pretty damn good match, actually. I was a little disappointed with at first at how that was looking, but I liked it, and now I really like it. Also on my last one, this had a very small edge distance. Someone had like hacksawed it off. Well, I think that was just to give them a little extra 1/8 inch or something. Maybe what they had was just a hair too big. Can you see the profile of those threads? It's like a sawtooth. It's not a real buttress like I've seen, because this actually comes back on itself. This piece would be difficult to make. I can make a cutter that looks like that and turn the screw, but to make this would be a pain in the ass. I'm going to go search for that screw where I found this. Just a quick evaluation. The ring is gone. The screw is gone. This did not have jaws with it. I've read and heard that those replaceable jaws were an option. I don't know if someone had made these cuts to act like parallels down in a vise. I would prefer replaceable jaws and not possibly damaging the original casting. This thing looks in great shape. This was a good buy for $4. $1 an inch. That's my new benchmark. Yeah, I got the last one for free, but I paid top dollar per inch for this one. This is going to be cool. This is a $1 garage sale find. I'll do that all day long. Running out of evaporust. Can't get it fully submerged. We're gonna go comically small now. Come on. Wait a minute. There's two of them. This is dumb. Wow. So let's take a look at what we got going on here. Looks like it's starting to evaporate. I didn't have it in a closed container this time, so it's starting to get contaminated, so I'm putting on gloves. Look how well that cleaned up. That's awesome. I'm gonna use this one. That's weird. Yeah, slightly hard. Let me let it soak in. I went back to the antique store where I found this and looked everywhere for this screw. Can't find it. I'm gonna go back again, not gonna give up. Doesn't cost anything to go back there, so. Why are things sticking to this plate? Maybe that plate was so rusty that the reaction of whatever this does to the rust is causing these to stick together. Strange. Look at that surface. When I flip this one over, there'll be no witness marks like on my other one. So look at how awesome this is. I'm at the same point where I was on the last one, thinking, should I bother cleaning this up? I think, again, since it's so simple, I might just do that. The paint is flaking off. I've rubbed a lot of it off. It'll continue flaking off and then rusting. I'm going to soak this piece. These two pieces were sitting on each other, or this was sitting on there, and didn't clean up that face very well. I guess we're moving right along. Yeah, it goes on kind of thin. I'll have to do a couple coats, like on the top side. All right, let's check back on this. So yeah, when I first saw this, it was so rusty I couldn't see a couple other little divots, just that one, but still not too bad. Of course, they had to get one on the side though. So note to self, don't set things on top of each other in evaporust. I'm gonna buff that out anyway, and that's gonna be on the bottom, so doesn't matter. This will be the top. I am a-okay with that. This is the original top side. Not bad by any means, but that's even better. Like on my last one, I will have the good side up so that any marks will be me. I'll take the blame. I usually don't hit the vices though, so hopefully there won't be any marks. The little imperfections will be patina. This doesn't need to be perfect. I'm cheap. I'm gonna reuse this weird thing that I used on the last one. So I did get a little sloppy. I'll clean it up. In this area though, the casting is actually pretty rough. It's hard to read those letters. I'll try to clean it up. This is looking okay. I can do some touch up once it's together because I'm anxious to put it together, which I'm going to do right now. There was a burr in here that I could tell I needed to take out, so I did. We got that fresh surface facing up. Before I get too far. So if I'm going to make a replacement screw and handle, I'll need to make a cutter of that profile. I'll have to reverse engineer this thread, find out what size this is. It's not the same size as the one on my 6B, so I can't just copy that screw. Don't really know how straight this is going to be without that screw. It'd be nice to have. I've seen in some other YouTube videos where a guy will use a karate chop to make a part up here or to cut some stock in half or something. I've never tried that before. I'm going to give it a shot this time. See if I can make that screw up here. One more try. Aha! It did work. Cool. This is the one for the 4B too. Yeah, nice. Maybe I shouldn't have put it together first. I guess on this one I didn't need to loosen that. I did on my 6B. Yeah, I need to clean up those a little bit, paint them. Some paint got in there. I dug some of it out. Doesn't really matter, it's going to get oiled anyway. But I need to put this in with its little ring that's down in a groove in there, which is a pain to get out. That's handy. It's got that inverse buttress thread and everything, and the handle. Man, karate chops are awesome. Let's see if I can do this with a phone in front of me. Jeez. That's never coming out of there again. Holy crap. The secret to getting that clip down in there is you have to hit it harder than you think. You want to get it started and kind of take it easy, you just need to hit one end way down in there and then go around. Don't want to use grease here because it'll just catch chips. Instead I'll use way too much oil. I could use some replaceable jaws. Yeah, it's gonna take up valuable real estate, but they can come out and they go back in. Let's see if another karate chop will do it. Aha, cool. Nice. New old stock. I measured what grip length of fasteners I would want. I really want about 1 1/8. I got 1 and 1 1/4. We'll see if the longer ones work. I didn't karate chop these cap screws. I went to the hardware store. Should have karate chopped. Yeah, that's just sticking proud. I think I will run these 1 1/4 and just shave off that end. Just sticking proud. Probably going to be worse in the V's. The fastener hole is actually in the V. Yeah, definitely feel those. Yeah, they're sticking into that V. Grind those down. Not a big deal. I ground them down to 1 1/8. Let's see if that works. Those two are good. That one's good. That one needs a hair more. Perfect. All right, just need to touch up some of the paint. So there it is. I am really pleased with how this turned out. Now I didn't mention that the fastener thread was 5/16 18. The grip length was 1 1/8 that I determined after grinding it off. And with these replaceable jaws, I can see why they left them out, because you don't have much real estate here. And that just removes even more. Without the replaceable jaws, you'd have about almost 4.5 inches. With the jaws in place, you have about 3 9/16. If you're familiar with Mr. Pete on YouTube, he has a couple videos where he rebuilds one of these. It might have been a 3B, if I remember correctly. He made a good point that I didn't think about, where this bed is completely solid underneath where you're drilling, whereas many other drill press vices have a gap there. So this may be more prone to someone drilling into the bed, although they should know better. Now for reference, here's a vise that we're usually more familiar with. I've seen it labeled as a Palmgren. This one actually happens to be a Craftsman. It's a tilting vise. I've never actually used it. For even more reference, this is the 6B. Yeah, I need a 7B and an 8B now. Those would be monsters. Also need a 3B. I need one of every size. If you have one just sitting around, I would be interested for the right price. This was a fun experience of finding and resurrecting this vise. And when I was doing my research on what to do about this screw, I found out the current status of the company. I was able to contact them and go to the factory and buy the replacement parts. This screw and handle and a little clip. I found these new old stock jaws on eBay. So here are some pictures that I took of the factory while I was there. This was kind of a spontaneous trip for me. I didn't get an official factory tour. I got permission to take a few pictures. I didn't want to interrupt the actual workflow of what was going on, but me and the owners walked through the place, talked about the machines, talked about the tools, talked about the products they offer. They're great guys. They're Model A, flathead Ford guys like me. So I was really happy to be able to take the field trip to go there to get that. See a factory, see a good American business still running. They had CNCs on one side and a bunch of good old manual tools on the other. They're still making these just like this, but with Pomona instead of Glendale cast into it. I think we need to support this kind of stuff, keep this stuff in America, keep these companies going. They still can be found in the big catalogs. They aren't listed under the brand name though. They're usually just listed as an American-made vise. But you can tell it's the Cardinal Speed-Vise. Well, there's an old familiar friend, my 6B. I already made a video about this one, but I might as well update it while I'm making this video about my 4B. I had talked about the edge distance of this fastener. Not much material left there. My theory is that that was cut back to give them a little more throat opening, whatever you want to call it, capacity. It's just kind of a concern that all the force is going to be going through that material that's kind of thin. While I was at the factory, YOLO, just in case. It's always nice to have backup parts. You know, it's interesting that this could be 50, 60, 70, 30, who knows, years old. And I can still go get the brand new part from the factory. Fits beautifully. Nice and beefy, hardened. But it has that much extra meat there. In other places where I've researched this thread, people just call it a buttress thread and give a spec. Unless I'm looking at the spec wrong, it does not match this. So when I was at the factory, I'd mentioned how difficult it was to find information on that undercut buttress thread that they use. The son of the owner told me that it's a proprietary cutter. It's a proprietary thread. So that makes sense. There's a website called Vintage Machinery, which has a forum and all kinds of good information. But it also has a manufacturer's index where you can find lots of manuals and information about different old tools like this. They have a page on the Cardinal Manufacturing Company. And when I started looking into this, their page was kind of a dead end. They still only have one picture of one catalog from the 70s, and the last information really acted like the business might not be around. Maybe it stopped in the 70s. So I contacted the historian to update the information of their current location, their current phone number, since they've moved from Glendale to Pomona, and a website called Pin Tool Co., where you can find replacement parts if you're not local like I am. You know, I just want to spread the word of a good American company that's still making good old tools. The price was completely reasonable. It was worth it. Time is money, and it was worth it to just go up there, have a cool field trip, and buy this part. The handle, the jaws, the $4 original price of the vise. I do have about $100 in this, which is fine. I'm going to keep this forever.